First off, welcome everybody to yet another Hack and Tell from the Arweave Fellowship. We are incredibly excited to come here today. Today we've actually got a pretty exciting project. Fabian from ArVerify. We're going to be talking through his project, talking a little bit about his founder journey, which I think is fascinating. We actually started getting into it backstage, which you couldn't see. And Maureen was like, "Stop it," because this is actually really fascinating. I think everybody else is really excited to hear this as well. So we're going to be doing that. I think just housekeeping, just to make sure people who are watching, if you're considering applying to the fellowship, please do that. The links are in the Discord. So join the Discord, go to the links, be sure to register if you want to present your project during our pitch days. Those have actually gone out, so check your email as well. That is for the registration, so make sure everything there is ready to go. And yeah, we will have like maybe some Q&As post to the chat. We will be getting to those to the end of it. So without further ado, Fabian, ArVerify, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I think just to start it off, why don't you tell us a little bit about I think your journey. So tell us a little bit about the project, like how it got started, and like I think like you were actually talking. Why don't you tell us like how you got into Arweave in the first place?
Yeah. So I started like developing and programming 2018. Obviously, I finished school in 2018. So I started programming in 2018. Have worked at some startups here and there in the education way. So like startups for education in Germany. I have then moved to a startup for security, health and resource security. And I've then participated December 2019, so like close to a year ago, at the hackathon at SAP, where with Michael Spengler, he's also in the Arweave community, and I wanted to create ERC20 token with him. So this was my first project into the whole crypto thing. I've already heard about it, but I've never been in. I never did any development on this. And this was a 3-day hackathon, and we finished the ERC20 token the first day. And then we sat there and we're like, well, now we have like ERC20 token. What are we going to do with it? What are the applications? And like, there was no way for us like to find some real business value for it, or how this whole project could be used in any other applications.
Just out of curiosity, like, so your background is education and then security. Was your interest in ERC20, was that tied to either the startups you were working on or the background, or was this just like a concept you thought was really interesting?
This was just Michael came to me. He said, well, I always wanted to create my first token. Could you help me set it up? I was like, okay. Nice. This was like in no way connected to any other project. So I'm normally working as a CI/CD DevOps guy or full stack developer in other projects. So like I'm not in touch with any crypto. But then at the hackathon at the second day, I talked to the guy sitting next to me, and he was an SAP intern, and he said, well, I'm working on this project. It's called CLA Systems, one of the biggest SAP open source projects. And maybe some of you guys have seen, I think Nestland is using the CLA system as well. And so for others, if you're doing a pull request, you will need to sign it with with a comment, and then your signature will be stored at the CLA assistant. So that bigger companies who have basically, by the way, CLA is a contributor licensed agreement. So the bigger enterprises don't have any problems with open source contribution. You have to sign the agreement that you basically are okay with doing some merges there. Okay. So and this guy said to me, well, like Amazon is using it, Uber is using it, PayPal is using this, and we are storing all the signatures on the fridge in our office. And I looked to the side and saw like a small fridge, and there was a hard drive on it, and was like, come on, not really. He's like, well, yes, but now we're going to rewrite this as a GitHub action. I think this is the current state of the project. I think it's a GitHub action now. And I said, like, well, okay. And then like it just came to my mind that I thought, well, like having the blockchain and like signatures is so closely tied together, because you want to have a storage where like you can't delete any signatures, you can't update any signatures. So you really want to have a permanent solution. And then the next 2 days, I built a solution, basically just an API for the CLA assistant that they could send the data to an endpoint which I wrote and which would then store the signature information on the Ethereum blockchain.
Oh, cool.
So this was my whole like idea into this. And this was like my only project ever in crypto. And I always wanted to take this a step further and thought, well, there's like so good application for this whole thing of like storing data on the blockchain or even like real contracts and have people like sign contracts and all of this stuff. And then Michael, the guy from Hackathon, sent me the link to the hackathon from Gitcoin, from the Arweave hackathon in like June. I think it was around June. And then I like got into this amazing community and talked to Sam about the idea of the CLA assistant and the whole idea of other people signing under contracts. And then we said, well, we need like some basics, like some foundation basically, to make sure that they're like real humans interacting with each other. And not like any like random wallets, and not like all of this is anonymous, so nobody knows who's behind this address, or even if this address, is it even human owned, is it owned by a machine? And this is how we came up with ArVerify. And then I started developing on this on I think start of September. And now I'm suddenly here at the Hack and Tell about the project. And that's it.
That's incredible. And so when was your first Ethereum project?
Sorry?
When was your first Ethereum project? This year, right?
December 2019, so 1 year ago, yeah.
Okay, 1 year ago. So you started hacking in like crypto systems 12 months ago, and then you started hacking within like Arweave within about 6 months ago then.
Six weeks ago.
Or weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. Wow. All right. Sorry. This year's gone by, but not fast enough, apparently. That's incredible. So I guess like that sort of leads really naturally, I think, into sort of the next step, where then kind of my next question, which is just like, what is ArVerify, and kind of like talk us through your product. Yeah.
So basically, ArVerify is a service for on the Arweave network where where you can have your address verified. So we will be the single source of truth for any verification made on the Arweave, so that other projects can include our library, and they can check if people are using their if addresses are real human owned, and if they are basically if there's enough trust for this one address to do any interactions with their application.
Oh, that's really interesting. Huh. So I guess out of curiosity, you've been kind of working on it for 6 weeks. Where where are you seeing the most opportunity from your perspective? Like, I think you're probably really excited probably for like the 5-year vision and everything. And especially when you're building the project, you have like that idea of like the vast horizon where it probably will go. And then you have like these immediate, like first, like early wins that gets you kind of excited for like the project and kind of what you're building. So out of curiosity, like where are you seeing like, I guess the most excitement to me, like one of the most interesting things is kind of like almost from a social side, right? Like the verifiability on that, and Weave Mail and all of these other kind of like immediately consumer applications, I think would be really interesting. But from your perspective, like where are you most excited to see traction in?
Yeah, so ArVerify is more of a business-to-business application. Mm-hmm. So we'd really love like to see like first applications, like the big applications of Arweave currently. So hi to Cedric, to community XYZ, and hi to Tate for virtual for you guys to basically to see my address with the little checkmark icon behind it, and just seeing ArVerify getting used and getting used in other applications, basically in the first applications. This would be very cool for awesome. The next weeks, basically.
Do you want to kind of give us a demo, like kind of walk through both like what it looks like from the user side, but then also like from the dev side?
Yeah, of course. So currently the UI is still in mock mode, but we are going to release the full UI, I think until end of this week. But I can show you the mocked UI, how it's currently looking. By the way, huge shout out to my team, to Jacob and John for developing all of the stuff around this, and Jacob for creating the homepage for the design part, and for helping me out basically at all questions. So thank you guys very much. First of all, I totally forgot to mention you. So I will show you the demo. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Okay. So as you can see, this is the current homepage. It basically gives you some basic information about the project. It's available under ArVerify.org. And this, so this is our GitHub. You can, to all of the developers out there, you can find all of the relevant libraries and the code for the auth node in our GitHub. But I actually wanted to click on the sample UI. There we go. So what you would do, you would log in with your Arweave wallet address. So you would see your wallet address there. You can see the fee which you would have to pay for verification down there. One part of the fee goes to the hoster, to the auth node. So how the whole verification process works, that there is an auth node, or basically there are multiple auth nodes, which will be responsible for sending the transaction for the verification. And there will be an XYZ community where people who are hosting this auth node have their stake. So to ensure that always the people hosting the auth node are not misbehaving in any way, because otherwise their stake will be slashed. So as you can see, here's the fee down here. You will have to pay for verification. The fee is set by the community. And as I said, one part is going to the community directly, one part is going to the auth node hosters. So then you click verify address. Currently, the only available version to sign in is to sign in with Google. There will be more verification methods coming up in the next versions. So you will enter your Google information here, and after that you can see it's now checking for verification, and you can see that this address is now verified. And the good thing is that this address is now verified in the whole Arweave network. So there's no need, if you verified once, to verify twice. So just one verification is enough to use all applications who are using ArVerify. So yeah, this is the whole process. And the good thing is that from a developer side now, there's the code, so you can check if an address is verified. You can get an icon, an SVG icon out there. So you just input an address, and if it's verified, you can get an SVG icon. You can display it, import it wherever you want. And like one of the bigger reveal now is that you can verify users inside your application. So there's no need that you would need to redirect your users to our site if they are not verified. So for example, if you say, well, this and that feature is verification bound, or the login even is feature bound, verification bound, sorry, you can just say, okay, verify right there. You just request the sign-in URL. You can open it. The user will return to that, and you can handle basically everything on your side. So there's no way to do verification on our side. But of course, you can always refer to ArVerify.org, and there will always be a working verification function. So yeah, that's it. It's basically just a three-step progress. You request the URI, you sign in with your Google account, and then you're verified.
That's awesome.
And it's even it's just one line of code. So it's one line of code for requesting the URL, one line of code to check if it's verified, and one line to get the icon. So we always try to keep this as easy as possible.
Oh, that's so great. And that was kind of my next question, is how easy is it to integrate with ArVerify for like kind of existing projects? Yeah. 3 lines. That sounds pretty quick, like 5-minute thing maybe.
Yeah, it's just one npm package, just npm install ArVerify. Then you have 3 functions. One is the check verified function, one is the get icon function, and one is the get I'm not lost. Get verification UI. That's it.
Gotcha.
And then that's basically all the functions you would need. You just need to insert your address or your key file, and basically then you are good to go. So Fantastic. It's very easy to implement.
Well, so you said so currently Google off for now for verifications. You're saying you're shipping others later. Do you want to tease what you're thinking of as far as like those additional features, or what you're thinking of shipping next?
Yeah. So as the whole Arweave community is more of a developer community, of course, the next thing we would need to attack would be the GitHub sign-in, so that you just can sign in with your GitHub account. And maybe we thought about using Twitter or Facebook next, or maybe there's a way to even have your ID verified, but this is like some really high topic thing we would need to attack like way off now, but something which would be very great to have like even your ID verified and something. And the whole, which I want to say, the whole thing doesn't store any personal information. It will always just get okay, this user is verified. So there will be like no email stored with the verification, no ID or something else. Will just be this address is verified by the single source of truth. And we will handle all of these sign-in parts on our side. So there's no user has to fear that we are going to store any personal information.
That's awesome. So when you said, I can think the other thing I'm curious to hear about is running nodes. So you're saying half of the fee to verify goes to the community, which is great. Plug for community.xyz. Definitely go check out ArVerify on community.xyz. But then also you're saying the other half goes to the person that's running the verification node in the first place. Is that, I mean, if people wanted to start running nodes, is that something that they can do, or is that upcoming, or I guess, like, what's the onboarding process like that for that?
The onboarding process is very easy. It's basically just a Docker file right now. So people, like anyone who is able to host a Docker file, can just host a Docker file. They will just need to reach out to us before, because they will need some private information about some secrets for the Google sign-in, of course. And they have to keep it private, because otherwise their stake will be slashed. But it's very easy. Just reach out to me if you want to host an off node, and if you're capable to host one. And basically, that's it.
That's awesome. Very cool. Where do you see, I mean, so we've kind of talked about like what the immediate next steps are. You almost touched on like sort of the ID stuff, like the physical, like the actual IDs. Is that, I think, like your five-year vision, like kind of like what you're shooting for kind of in the long term, or are there other things that you're thinking about as well? Are there like cross-chain implications? Are you thinking through that?
Yeah, we haven't thought on any cross-chain linking right now and cross-chain verification, but it's definitely a feature which I really like. So one thing I would love to see ArVerify in the next years would be to have it heavily used as one of the basic integrations in other applications, so that this is really going to like one of the core products for the Arweave community. So this would be like one step where I would hugely love to see this project going. One good point where I was thinking about, which would make sense, would even go and say that other people can report malicious actions, maybe. So taking the whole idea of verification and taking this to the other side, instead of, well, this user is now verified, going, well, this has done some malicious verification, you can report it. So this would build to some kind of a know your customer to like know your customer platform, but I'm not sure how deeply we should go into this whole idea. But this would definitely be some next steps, or some next year steps to build out.
That's really interesting, especially I think within the ad space, right? Like they have pretty like fleshed out concepts of like whitelists and blacklists of IP addresses, like incoming traffics, right, to reduce fraud and everything. So it'd be interesting to kind of think through it from that perspective as well. Very cool indeed. I think like from my perspective, I'm most interested to hear, especially given how quickly you kind of got up to speed and started launching this project, what have you learned, right? Like so far as a founder, both within the Arweave community, but then also like kind of from your previous work, right, within like the security and education startups. If you had to start over again, what would you do differently? Would you do anything differently? Do you feel like you've nailed it on the first try?
No, definitely not. You always learn of your mistakes. So one thing I would definitely like, if I would start another project, I mean, like the start of this project isn't that long ago. Right. So there was also some influence of my other failures, basically. So what I always would do is find a very good team where you can say, well, they're like really good in a thing which they're doing, and I have definitely found this team. Mm-hmm. And and also like rely on your team, and like don't think that you are like the one-man army who can do everything, who is good at this, good at that. Find the part where you are good in, and then like just build out this part, and let other people take the parts where they're good in, and then you will find your team, and things will go a lot smoother, a lot faster, a lot quicker, and also like without less problem. So this would be one thing.
So, and I think that's a great call out. I'm curious from your perspective, how do you identify what you're good at? I think that's something that we all, I know at least I struggle with that. I think it's difficult for me to identify what I'm good at versus what I can do well versus what like I will just do because it's faster for me to do versus like making sure that someone else has like the support that they need to execute on it. Like from your perspective, like how do you kind of min-max on that?
Yeah, this is basically I found this out kind of by trial and error, basically. Mm-hmm. So what I find out is that I'm really fast at understanding processes, not like process in general, not like IT special processes or something. Maybe like this is the reason why I came into the whole computer science thing, because the job is like to automate processes. So you would need to like get in processes really, really fast and be able to think about this. And I think one thing which I, for me myself, really like is communication, talking with other people about ideas, and spreading ideas, finding people who like ideas. So this is why I'm now selling kind of a founder position, or like project managing position, where I would say, all right, there are other people that can develop way better than I can, or like there are people that are way better in market communication than I am, or finding opportunities, but I'm really good at bringing these people together and keeping communication up between these people, but also having like the big picture of it, right? Like not losing focus, but more of like abstracting this, but also be able to say what's John doing right now on the development side, but also what's Jacob doing on the marketing side, but like kind of bringing this together and reach out to new people and pitching them ideas and bringing this whole project forward.
Yeah, I so agree with that. I think it's really interesting. I think there's two different things I read recently. One person was talking about they were a developer who founded a company, and they said something to the effect of like, do you love developing more than anything else? Then you should probably not found a company, because you're going to spend a lot of time not coding. You're going to spend a lot of time doing what you're describing, meeting with people, finding those synergies, like where people really want to contribute, and then letting them kind of contribute, min-maxing on top of that. And it's almost, I think it's really interesting to meet devs who have built something that that's gotten a lot of traction, right? Because suddenly they find themselves squarely outside of why they got into this in the first place. And one of two things happens, right? They either are kind of sad and they kind of just want to get back to coding things, and then but then oftentimes they also find that, hey, I actually really like kind of operating at this sort of like operator level, where I'm kind of looking for people to contribute and kind of designing the space in which they can be like a really, really high impact contributor. So that's really interesting that you've kind of found that on your own. Is there any, like, I guess, like, for me, especially like whenever I'm kind of like finishing up a project, you made like sort of like a reference to like failures, right? And for me, whenever I'm sunsetting a project that I've decided like, okay, I'm all out of legs for this project, I need to kind of move on. I like to do postmortems, basically, to like figure out like, where did it go wrong? Was it just market timing? Was it me? Was it like the contributors? How do you learn from your failures? Is kind of what I'm asking. Is there like a postmortem process? Is it just sort of like, is it a gut thing? How do you think about it?
It's basically the basic thing about it is just self-reflection. So we need to go into yourself and say, well, maybe where did I go wrong? Or maybe, sometimes you did everything right, but it's just not the timing, or you're not just good enough or something. Like talking to other people, and also like listening to other people, even though if you like don't on the same level with them, like on the same like mindset level, because like people, especially if you want to develop a product which other people need to buy, I mean, like, it's not like the thing which you like, it's the thing which your customers like, basically. So like, always, like, be able to, like, reflect yourself and be able to change yourself, basically. And, like, one thing which really helped me with my, like, come over my failures was the idea of rejection, basically. I mean, it's like, you know, people who reject people which have a lot of money, right?
Right.
And you also know people who reject people who have not that much, like, less money. So you can always be rejected for anything, basically. I mean, like, you can just say, well, Fabian, basically, I don't like you because your hair looks dumb, right?
Right.
I mean, this would be my impact, right?
Right.
Once you understand that you are, like, in this high position, that you say, well, now I can choose for what I want to be rejected, right? So I mean, like, you can aim high and you can get rejected for this, and you will get rejected more than if you aim low. But like it's just, like, one thing of, like, being able to reflect yourself and say, well, I can reject you for doing low things. Is this my aim? And if you say, well, I'm aiming for high level things, and maybe I get rejected 20 times more, but, like, this one more time where I'm not getting rejected pays off, like, 50 times more, then it's definitely worth, like, to stick to your dreams and always think, like, well, I can be rejected for anything, right? I can be rejected for placing $200 offer or, like, €2,000 offer, but it's basically it's the same thing. So this is what helps me overcome failures, or, like, even, like, basically analyze failures and just say, well, maybe it's just, like, you know, just rejection.
I love that. You're basically, I think that's a great call out. That people there, I've talked with so many venture capitalists where they have a very specific thesis around the types of projects that they want to invest in, and oftentimes there's no controlling what it is. I've met venture capitalists who, like, oh, I don't invest in solo founders because it's just too much work, and I don't even consider solo founders. There are venture capitalists where it's like, oh, I don't get into it without this much total addressable market or that sort of thing. I really like the idea of basically understanding that there's not going to be, you're not building something for everyone. And you're not building something that every fund or every opportunity is going to make sense. And there's a lot more power in saying no to most things than saying yes to most things. And so designing kind of like what you're going for with the kind of optimizing essentially for best outcomes, where you're saying, like, look, I want the people who say yes to say yes because of X, Y, and Z, these type of attributes, because that's how I want to spend my time. I think to me, that's especially something that it's taken me a while to really grok, is this idea that the things that we work on, like when you are working on something, you're investing in it. It's just, you're not investing money, you're investing time, which is arguably a much higher leveraged, much more high risk investment, because you can't get that time back. You can always get the money back that you invest in projects. You can't get your time back. So I love that idea of essentially designing the projects that you're doing to where more people self-sort out of it, so that the people that are left are the ones that are, like, kind of the high opportunity, high reward type projects. To that, I think to that kind of similar on that line, how do you think about contributors? I think part of it has to do with, like, knowing yourself, right? Like, you spend a lot of time within self-reflection and kind of understanding what you're good at, what you're bad at, what you kind of want to optimize for. How do you think about finding other people and other teammates? I noticed in the Discord, a lot of people are saying, like, how do I find a team? How do I find contributors? What's your approach to that?
Basically, first of all, you need to build your network over time. Always, be open, open-minded, listen to everyone's opinion, and then just, like, go ahead and analyze, well, what is this guy doing better than I am? Or maybe, like, why is he right? I mean, like, it's not bad for myself that he's maybe better at this. I mean, like, that you can always find someone who's better at this than you are. It's just a matter of finding them, right? Mm-hmm. So I think, just reach out to people, chat with them, talk to them, find their strength, analyze their behavior, see well, he's doing very good. And even like, but just go ahead and start. Like, don't take anything to perfection or say, I want to find the perfect team or I want to find this. Just start, get your idea out there, and you will always find people liking your idea. And like, as I said, don't be afraid of rejection, basically. Go out there and just build a product which is just like 30% or 20% of this, what you want this product to be. But go ahead and start it. And you will always find someone who will like continue on this idea and who will bring in his own like spirit into like the whole project, and maybe even like turn out the better project, which I'm like thinking of. But if I'm always like sitting in my room and thinking, oh, come on, this has to be 100%, this, what happened if someone does not like this feature? Well, I don't care if he does not like this feature. I mean, like, I can be rejected for just having ArVerify and people saying, oh, come on, why do I need this? Well, then just don't use it. Well, there are other people who are liking this, and like build this for them who are liking them, and then you will always find your team, your community, and but always be open for compromise and say, well, we don't have to like go 100% the way where I want this project to be, and we don't have to go 100% where you want this project to be. So let's meet up in the middle and find a compromise where like both of us are happy with it, and then always like step up from this space you've built and like get up, and this is like rapid development in my way.
Agreed. Like it's keeping those iteration cycles. I love the idea. I really appreciate this idea of like building and then releasing quickly. I think there's like kind of like the joke of like the screenwriter. There's like 1,000 screenwriters in Starbucks who like have the idea for this perfect movie, but they never write it, because once you write it, you have to like come to grips with like both the limits of your own abilities and then also like start working out all of like the 1,000 different sort of difficulties within that script. And I think we as builders, that's part of it. That's part of why like I think we're kind of hesitant to release, is because we have like this kind of like a perfect idea sort of in our head, and as soon as it starts hitting paper, worse yet, as soon as people start using it, right? Like people will start telling you, I don't need that. I've never needed that, or I've never even thought about this, or that doesn't fit my behavior at all. There's like that Mike Tyson quote, right? Like everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Users punch your ideas in the face a lot, right? Like when people actually start using it, that's when we actually start exposing our like kind of like this fantasy awesome project that we have in our head into reality. And then that's whenever we actually start making things that matter to people. It's like, it is both not fun at all and also extremely rewarding to like start solving real problems for people. I think that's a wonderful call out. What I think like one of my final questions to this would essentially be like starting over, right? Like you are just kind of giving them this advice of like, okay, you just need to start it, right? Like it's not going to be perfect. You need to get it out there. It's the best way to find contributors. One thing I tell people all the time, whenever they ask me, like, how do I get an investment? Honestly, like the person that starts contributing to your project is the first investment you're going to get, because they're investing their time as well. And they're not going to get that until you start and like actually start building the thing. So let's say that like there are people who are watching this who have yet to start, but want to, taking like the last six weeks, right? Like we're talking about really tight iteration cycles. Let's pretend you had to start again. 6 weeks, like for starting now, like what would you be doing? Like how would you start?
Yeah. So one of the problem for us developers is that we can start real quick. There's no need for us to do some market research. There's no need for us to buy expensive machines. No need to buy materials, which is the problem. We maybe sometimes start too fast. So like take yourself like a week, reach out to people you know, and you know would like the idea. I mean, like don't pitch it to people who don't like the idea. I mean, this won't make any sense. But you know, but reach out to the community and say, well, I have this and this idea. What do you think about it? And I mean, like, don't be afraid of the rejection, and then just listen to people's feedback. Say, oh, this would be great. This is awesome. Go ahead, start building it. And if they say, go ahead, start building it, go ahead and start it. Mm-hmm. And if you can't find anyone, which I won't believe would happen, just go ahead and start it anyways, because then you can say, well, this is a product, look at it. But always show your progress as fast as you can. Like, don't wait 10 features, because then you've spent your time building 10 features. Maybe like just one of those features is great, because not every feature you build is great. which is like very important for you to accept that like not everything you are building is great, but most of it is great. And this is like the thing which brings the software forward. And this is like one of our big failures. In my previous startups, we've been 7 developers, and we were into like new technologies, new CI/CD. We had the power of AWS, KI, and all of this. We thought, well, this would be a great feature, and this and that and this and that. And then we look back half a year later, and we thought, well, we have developed our whole software totally away from the market, just because we liked fiddling around with this technology instead of building actual features for our customers. So that's a huge problem, because after the 6 months, we had to start over. But we made the mistake and said, all right, now we're going to find 10 customers first, let them build like the very basic of our software, don't charge them that much for the use, and then go ahead and increase new features and talk to them. And this is like one of the biggest like things. If I would start over with a new idea, talk to people, like talk to a few people, build a prototype, and then talk to more people and just iterate this over and over and over again. And even if you know the pain from your project, so for example, if you've built 3 or 4 projects, and I'm always trialing on this part and this part, just go ahead and build the tool which you need. I mean, there's nothing which can stop you from this. You have your laptop, you have your coding language of your choice. Just go start it and then pitch it to other guys if you want to turn this into a business.
Yeah, I think to me, that's a especially interesting and I think a really important thing to keep in mind, right? Is I think building to learn is something that we need to keep alive. I think there's like, to me, like code is such an interesting, it's like an act of creation. It is creative work. And I think that we need to, first off, I would say like go into it understanding what you want to get out of it, right? Like if you want a company, I think you're right. You should probably like talk to people. There's a really good book I've been recommending to everybody called The Mom Test. And it's basically like how to talk to potential customers in a way that they'll give you like, they'll tell you what their actual problems are so you could actually like solve it, like build a business off of it. Which I would recommend folks pick up. But even if you're not, I think that it's important to build because there are lessons that you learn from that tight iteration cycle that you then take on to the next project. So even if like, I don't know, like I think building for yourself is perfectly fine. I think it's desirable, especially if like, I mean, you get so much out of it. You learn the technology better. You learn how to build faster. You learn how to prototype. If you haven't done that, I would especially say like, if there are things that you have questions around, build projects specifically around those questions, right? Like that's kind of how I think about prototyping is that you can, if you want to answer questions quickly, you can build like these physical concrete things that you then show to people that they can then react to and then kind of give back to you that, I think like lead to other questions. And eventually like those questions become big enough that you like actually have like pretty sizable businesses around them. So I think that's excellent. I think we're kind of at the end. Fabian, why don't you kind of like walk us through sort of the action items? If people want to integrate with ArVerify, how do they do that? If they want to run a node, you said reach out. What are the steps for like kind of the people who are watching?
Yeah, if you want to use ArVerify in your application, just check out the GitHub. I will post the GitHub link real quick in the chat. Here we go. You can find all of the information you need there. We will update the README. If you want to host an off-node, check out the README in the off-node Python repository because there's no README currently in the JavaScript one. But the documentation for the library is, I think, very self-explaining. If you have any open questions, just raise an issue there or chat in our Discord. Thank you, India, for posting the Discord link. As I said, we're up to feature requests. We're up to improvements, up for feedback, especially. Basically, we just get better if we get feedback. So, but I think like the whole like integrating ArVerify, the library in your application should be pretty straightforward. Install the package, use one of the functions, and you're good to go. If you want to host an off-node, reach out to me on Discord. And And then I will like send you all the information you would need, and we'll find some time for you to set up the offload and get everything running.
What are the system specs for the node for the node runner? Is it pretty beefy or pretty negligible?
It's not. It's just one Express application in a Docker file. It's very minimal.
Okay, excellent, very cool. Great. Fabian, thank you so much for your time. This is excellent. Cannot wait to see more blue check marks next to names and profiles on these applications within the Arweave ecosystem. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Awesome. That does it for us. We're going to be joining the tables here shortly. Again, there are links to the Discord in the chat. Be sure to sign up there. That's where a lot of the announcements are going. If you want to present, you need to get that registered in so we can start we're already kind of thinking about the pitch day. And then also if you want to present or basically submit your application for the fellowship, remember, deadline is the 24th, but it's a lot better if you get kind of like submitted before then. So please go there, declare that you're working, submit your project so that we can reach out and make sure that you have all the help you need to build amazing stuff on Arweave. Thank you again, and looking forward to talk to you all soon.